I think we've had enough talk about content. It's time to talk about money. Who here wants to make more money? If you want to make more money, I want you to say more money. There we go. All right, cool. So,
intimate moment for me. I would love to document it and post it. So I'm just gonna ask if you guys want to be in my piece of content. Okay, I hope that I'm not asking too much. Just give me a few minutes. The first thing that I would love to do, and I've been dreaming about this shot for my entire life, if we could turn the lights down. Let's go! Gosh, beautiful than I could have ever imagined. If we could also be filming it, I'm pretty sure you two are good on it. All right.
I think, can we get you guys to stand up?
Ladies and gentlemen, create a live on 3. 3, 2, 1. Create live. Terrifying. You see that? How many people there are? Let's do another huge round of applause for our two amazing guests. We're going to be breaking down a lot of YouTube. And because YouTube is actually a really difficult platform to crack, we're actually going to be spending a lot of time today answering your guys' questions. I'm going to kick this off with a few because the reason why I'm so excited to be your host with these two lovely women is this. We always hear about consistency. We always hear about the fact that you have to be consistent in order for you to win. Both of them are true testaments to be consistent before you see the numbers. So I'm going to start off with Charlie first. It took you about 4 years of creating content consistently before seeing any of those results. I want to ask of you, what does it take, sure, content strategy and systematic-wise, but also mentally, to go ahead and persevere for that long? Talk to me about what went into posting for 4 years without seeing the results.
I never actually expected it to turn into anything, and I think because my expectations and the bar was set so low, I was able to just keep going because I never thought I hadn't made it yet. Instead, I just focused on how can I improve each class, how can I improve each video. That felt like a win in itself. That helped me keep going for 4 years until I eventually made like a decent paycheck from YouTube and could actually call it a career. And I think that's the thing. When you're looking at other people and you're expecting something, it's so easy to say, but they did that in 6 months. And I'm not there yet, but they might have a different skill set, different confidence level. They might be coming from another background that you haven't got. Like, I needed 4 years to get to a place where people would want to practice with me. So I respected that journey and I'm happy that I had that, because now I can turn around to people and say, if you're 1 year in, like, keep going. You've got a whole runway yet to get to.
Long game. I wasn't really counting down to 100,000 views or 10,000 followers. I wasn't counting down the milestone. With each video, to echo what Charlie said, I was just trying to get better and better with each one. And even though I was very busy with med school and working as a doctor in the NHS, what kept me going was honestly like the small community I was building. Even though I only had, say, 200 views on a video or 300 views, I would get comments that were paragraphs and paragraphs long, where people so deeply resonated with what I said, and that really motivated me to keep going. And I think because I wasn't having a milestone in the back of my mind, don't get me wrong, it was on my vision board, I had the 100K plaque on my vision board, and like every year I would move it over because I didn't achieve it yet, it kept moving, but I was truly just doing it for the viewers and almost for myself in a way, because I felt like with each video that I posted, I was getting more confident on camera, better with each one, so that's what kept me going.
There's so much that I learned from you, and I love your content because you are very personal and vulnerable in your content. You do speak about the experiences and struggles along the way. You don't hide that. Now, that's something that I'm a big fan of, but in the same breath, it can be challenging to balance your credibility at the same time. Talk to me about how you were able to be vulnerable and transparent online while still ensuring that people trusted you as an authority.
Yeah, I know a lot of people worry about this. They worry about being too relatable or too honest. But honestly, I think people see you as the expert because you've gone through every part of the journey. You know what it's like to be a beginner, you know what it's like in the messy middle, and you've achieved the milestone. So I don't think you should hide only in the expertise or the end stage of the journey. You need to show people that you know every step of the way. That's what makes people trust you even more.
Try to feed you as you monetize your content. A lot of people are afraid of giving away too much free value. If you guys go and watch her YouTube channel, it is hours and hours of free value. How do you know what to keep free on YouTube? And then how do you know what to actually put behind paywall, let's say within your programs?
The best split I've found For long form, it's like in my field, it's daily classes, it's like the one-off. For paid, it's a process, and there's a transformation at the end of that. That's how I distinguish the two. Same for short form. I might just answer a question, but how do you implement that is on the other side of that program. That's the biggest difference to me, and I always keep that in mind. Even now, like with the YouTube memberships, like how do I make that different to what I'm already posting? And again, it's like the long form that's free. It's just short, quick, daily bites. The membership is where we go deeper, and it's very much based on what people are requesting. And then the programs are where I'm taking you through a full structure. So I think it's really helpful to have that in your mind. What is each piece of content, and how can you communicate that to people? So that if anyone ever asks, because people will ask, like, why should I pay for this? You can clearly say, okay, like this is what you can expect. And if you can set people's expectations, then they know where they stand, and it's just a really nice place to be with people.
Yeah, and talk to me about how you, Charlie, view your short form and your long form strategy. I've heard you actually allude to it a few times already. You're thinking about long form strategy. It's different from your short form. How are you thinking about that within your own content ecosystem?
So for short form, I've always found the best way to do for short form for me is just to answer the questions that people have no one to direct that question to. So people are constantly using your YouTube particularly as a search feature. You know, how do I do downward facing dog? How do I stop my wrist from hurting? Or, you know, there's so many variations of that. And I just created content that answered that why. And then I found because people were watching that, then my long form content got pushed out. And that's what really matters to me, because on YouTube, that's where you're making the revenue from AdSense. So the short form is the introduction to me. It's that this person was really helpful, and they finally helped something like click for me. And then the long form is, okay, you know, I've seen this person post before, now I want to spend a little bit more time with them. And then there's another layer to that as you go through the funnel, and then it's like, okay, this person's really helped me on a one-off basis. What would it be like for them to take me through a process?
They have these really prestigious careers that are turning their attention to content. Tell me why you doubled down with your YouTube and your content.
Yeah, so I discovered content just in COVID time. It was honestly just a fun little hobby to pass the time. I feel like we all either discovered fitness in COVID or maybe baking, but for me, I just picked up a camera. And that was kind of halfway through med school. Things were slow at the start, I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't blow up straight away, but content was just a fun thing that I could keep pursuing. When things started to gain traction, you know, late med school, I was working as a doctor, it was really hard to juggle both. But I was kind of working on the wards, looking at my bosses, the seniors, and to be honest, I had so much respect for them, but I didn't want to swap places with them. I was thinking, you know, I'm training to become you, I'm training to swap places with you, and I'm not that inspired. I don't really want to have their jobs. So that was always in the back of my mind, like every moment that I'm here, I'm like investing in this journey, and I don't really know if it's what I want. Whereas in the creative space, I found it so fascinating. You know, I followed people like yourselves and other people I found super inspiring, and I thought, I do want to become like them, I do want to build a creative business. And it was a very hard conversation with, you know, my dad. He wasn't too pleased by it. My mum, on the other hand, was so incredibly supportive. She supported me every step of the way. She's seen that with all my hard work, it would pay off, so I think she was rooting for me. And ultimately, I just took the plunge. I think, you know, medicine has taught me that life can be short. Take the risk if you see it. Follow your heart, trust your gut. And thankfully, yeah, it paid off.
Are we sharing a mic? That's a very good question, potentially so. I just want to say that if there's any panel that I was genuinely looking forward to from my own learning experience, it would be this one. Who in here has now understood the importance of storytelling throughout today? And there's got to be more of you, right? There's a few of you guys in the back hand there. Exactly. The whole premise of actually owning and embracing your story, being able to build a real community and not just caring about vanity metrics is so imperative. And these two are phenomenal examples of that. So what I'm going to do is just first ask them, in your eyes, Giuseppe, I'll start with you, what does storytelling mean?
Cool. Hello everyone. I guess for me it's just being true to yourself and not being afraid to just tell your story and be different than everyone else.
And when you are trying to be different, you know, naturally you have the comparison with other people and you're like, I wish I had their life or I had their experience. How do you deal with that? And how do you own your specific story?
You've just kind of just got to put the blinkers on and just not, obviously you can take inspiration from other people, but not look at it too much to compare yourself, is what I say.
Cool. And James, I want to ask you the same exact question. So for you, what does storytelling mean?
Just echo what Sam said. I think it's staying in your own lane. You don't necessarily have to have something like really interesting. Everyone thinks that because like everyone online has something that's happened to them to make them do something. That's not how it is. Like nowadays, just tell your own story. People are interested in normal lives. It's just something they can actually relate to. And so it doesn't have to be like this incredible thing that happened to you. It's really just telling your story as it is day to day.
Yeah, that's very cool. I want to speak to you specifically, James, here because I lost my grandma not too long ago, and for me, telling that story online was actually quite therapeutic. Because for me, it was the ability to actually make people feel seen and less alone through a very difficult moment of my own. Now, I can't imagine what it was like to grieve your father's loss. Again, I'm so sorry for your loss. Now, most people would think about that, even in my experience, that we would shy away from explaining that. We would shy away from actually expressing it. You started posting content about it. Talk to me about why you decided to do that.
I think everyone grieves really differently. It took me like a year or so to really figure out what I actually wanted to do with things, and during that time something that I really missed was someone to look up to or to get advice from. And so I read a book called Losing Young by Rachel Wilson and kind of how she approached losing someone, and I was like, well, there's not really anything like that online, so why don't I just tell my story? It made me feel quite cathartic. I was journaling at the time, and yeah, just kind of the amount of people that I reached and that messaged me on the back of kind of some of my videos really just gave me what I needed to keep doing it. The solace in knowing you aren't alone with these things. So.
And how does it feel when, because I get the same types of DMs probably, the same comments, when you do receive a message from somebody that says you made them feel less alone, that you've made them feel seen? What goes through your head?
It's amazing. I think it's a fine line. My therapist actually told me off for reading too many DMs because it can become like trauma dumping. But it depends how the DMs come across. If someone tells me about their experience and how I've helped them change something even ever so slightly to better their lives, then it makes everything I'm doing worthwhile. I think social media is a very toxic place at times, but knowing that you have a little drop of good in it is all I need.
Who in here has the goal of leaving an impact on other people with your content? Keep your hands up if you've also received a comment or a DM that helped you realize your purpose, the intention behind what you do. That's exactly what content I...
There's a really cool quote from the founder of LinkedIn, and he says, if you're not embarrassed by the first thing that you post or make, then you started too late. And it's basically, it just goes to show that you should be embarrassed from the first thing because no one's going to have it all figured out from the day one. If you do, you probably could have learned a lot more by starting sooner. So that's one thing I try to say to a lot of like aspiring creators.
I love that. And I want to talk about Nona, Grandma, because, oh my gosh, if you guys have never seen Giuseppe's content, please do. It is the most wholesome experience ever. He starts making content with his grandma, and it's the cutest little experience, and it makes you feel like you're part of it, like in this little family circle. I want to ask you about this. When you make content today with your Nona, what does it give you that maybe those recipe videos or just those posts we talk about specific ingredients, what does that type of content with your grandma and your Nona do for you internally?
Yeah, it's been such a great journey and I'm so grateful for it, but it's funny because, I mean, I've always been close to my nana, but because she doesn't speak very good English, and I don't speak, unfortunately, great Italian, we've never really been super close. I've really like sat down and spoke about our day, so really the only time we would bond was in the kitchen, like whether it's when I was younger and I would like lick the bowl of tiramisu or help her to make some bread, and so definitely one thing that I've benefited from a lot from just doing the videos with her is just spending more time with her and having just such wholesome experiences, and to be able to share that with the world and to get so much like amazing positive feedback from it is just the icing on the cake pretty much.
I love it. There is a fine line between telling your story and it being performative. There is a fine line between going through struggle and building connection with it and potentially taking advantage of it or misusing it. And I think that's a fine line that people are very worried about before they start telling their story. I want to ask you, James, when you're thinking about this, right, where it's like you have this really powerful story, you want it to be known, how are you balancing that fine line? What goes through your brain when you're filtering it out in terms of what to share? How do you know when something is actually meaningful and impactful or potentially performative and it loses its meaning?
I think you've just got to be like true to yourself and not post for the sake of posting. I know there's a lot of narrative going around at the moment that quantity is always better than quality, but I disagree with that. I think I only post 2, maybe 3 times a week, and it's really whatever works for you. And when I'm going through a period in my life where I am a bit more like sad or things are cropping up that would kind of mean I'm not as happy as I normally am, then yes, I'll create content on it. But it's just making sure that what you're posting content about has a reason behind it. So why am I feeling sad? how is it impacting my life and what I'm doing to solve it. I think what people don't want to see is just someone feeling like being vulnerable online with no kind of like solution to it and just doing it for the sake of like clicks or comments or likes. And I think people are starting to see through that a little bit.
Creator Live art. And the truth of the matter is, I had no community growing up. None of it, right? When I was growing up, I was a Korean in a predominantly white community. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Then I decided to pick up a piece of content